What's going on, guys? It's Brendan here from DailyiFix.com. Today I'll be giving you my iPhone 6 review after playing with it for a few weeks. Now let's jump right into it. The biggest thing about the iPhone 6, the most controversial thing, and the biggest feature really of the iPhone 6 is the bigger screen. The iPhone 6 features a 4.7-inch display with the 6 Plus featuring a 5.5-inch display. It feels pretty odd at first, I must admit, and it takes a little bit to get used to, but you get used to it very quickly, and it feels amazing in the hand, both naked and with a case. The curved edges make it, kind of slippery, but I put a case on it on day one, so that's not an issue for me. The curved aluminum body and the curved glass are just something you need to get used to, but you will definitely prefer it over the previous generation once you get used to it. As I mentioned earlier, I use a case for my iPhone 6, and it is highly recommended to use a case with the device or the iPhone 6 Plus because many consumers have voiced that the new design on the iPhone 6 actually makes it easier to fall out of your hand and just makes it's just a slippery feel. Continuing on the design, the iPhone 6 is more slim than the 5S. The iPhone 6 is actually 6.8 millimeters thin compared to the iPhone 5S's 7.6 millimeter width. The power/lock button is now on the right hand side, which again takes a little bit to get used to, but you definitely get used to it, and I actually prefer it after using it for a while because it doesn't get in the way. Another thing you'll notice about the design on the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus is that the camera sticks out, which is very unusual for Apple to do. You get over it quickly, especially if you have a case, but it is worth noting. The only con about the iPhone 6's design is the fact that it is easy to slip out of your hand due to the new design, and I find my hands and my fingers covering up the speaker a lot when in landscape mode. So if I'm watching a video and I have my iPhone in landscape mode, a lot of times the speaker will be right on in my palm. It will just cover up the speaker and actually muff the sound. Let's talk more about the screen. The iPhone 6 has a 4.7-inch screen compared to the 4-inch screen of the 5S, and it's a major difference if you're coming even from the iPhone 5 and 5S, and it's even bigger, even greater difference if you're coming from an old iPhone such as the iPhone 4 or the 4S. However, this screen would be rather small if you're coming from Android, and I'd recommend you get the 6 Plus. The iPhone 6 has a bigger screen, which obviously calls for more pixels, and the iPhone 6 has 1334 by 750 pixels, while the 5S has 1136 by 640 pixels, and the iPhone 4 has only 960 by 640 pixels. The screen quality is a major improvement, even though it looks minor on paper. The bigger screen also allows the keyboard to take up more space and allows for more accurate typing, especially if you're coming from an iPhone 4. The only con I could come up with for the screen is that it is essentially just a 720p screen when other phones on the market have full 1080p HD screens. Let's talk about the camera. The iPhone 6 has the same 8 megapixel camera that the iPhone 5S packed, and also the same True Tone flash, which is the dual LEDs, capabilities. One of the new additions to the iPhone 6's rear-facing camera is phase detection autofocus, which is a great feature that allows the camera to focus a lot quicker in still and video. The front-facing camera, or the Facetime Hd Camera, has been greatly improved for the iPhone 6. It lets in 81% more light than the previous generation, allowing for much better and less grainy shots. It also has some selfie-based features such as one-shot HDR and burst mode. With the rear-facing camera, you can also do time-lapse, slow-mo, and panoramic modes, which are great for versatility. The only two cons I could come up with for the iPhone 6 camera is that optical image stabilization is only available on the 6 Plus, and I would have really liked to have that on my 6. And I would have also liked to see an overall greater improvement on the rear-facing camera. Moving on to the internals, the brains behind the iPhone 6 are a 1.4 GHz dual-core A8 chip with 1 GB of RAM. But don't let those words dual-core and 1 GB of RAM trick you. The iPhone 6 is blazing fast, and I have yet to have anything crash. The new A8 chip provides 20% more CPU power and 50% more GPU power than the previous A7 chip found in the iPhone 5S. You can really tell the difference in performance when opening up applications and actually running them. Everything runs super smooth. Moving on to the software, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus come preloaded with iOS 8, which you're probably all familiar with already by now. While it looks similar to iOS 7, iOS 8 packs a lot of new features such as interactive notifications where you can reply to messages, emails, and more without ever entering the app. Custom keyboards. Apple now supports Swipe and SwiftKey, allowing for customized keyboards. There's also many other third-party applications out there. Something that's been huge in the jailbreak community for years, and the keyboard now also supports predictive text, something that has been on Android for years. One of my favorite features is inline audio messages, which allows you to send audio messages to other iPhone users on iOS 8, and you can play those sound bites inline on the Messages app. Another great feature in iOS 8 is the battery monitor. You can now see which apps are eating the most of your battery up. There are tons more features in iOS 8, and I made a whole video on it, so you can check that out in the description below. The only con I can think of for iOS 8 is that a lot of these features were long overdue, and the widgets can be very buggy when used. Moving on to the battery life of the iPhone 6 is great, but it's nothing amazing when compared to previous iPhone generations. Apple decided to go with a slim design rather than a bulky bulky design, which did affect the battery because it does have to be a smaller battery to fit into that slim design. While the iPhone 6 gets just a minor bump in battery life when compared to the 5S, the iPhone 6 Plus gets a dramatically great bump. The iPhone 6 is said to get 14 hours of 3G talk time compared to the 10 hours on the 5S, 50 hours of audio listening, which is compared to 40 hours on the 5S, and 11 hours of Wi-Fi web browsing compared to 10 hours on the 5S. The con for the battery life is that it's basically the same battery as the 5S. Nothing has really improved. Moving on to the storage and pricing, the iPhone 6 is the first iPhone without a 32 gig model. They're only sold in 16, 64, and 128 gig capacities. The 16 gig is $199, the 64 gig is $299, and the 128 gig is $399. Now, the big question, should you upgrade? If you're coming from an iPhone 4S or earlier, I think it's a no-brainer upgrade. The iPhone 6 will perform over 100% better than your old outdated device. The screen will blow you away. The camera will also blow you away. Make sure you upgrade now. You will not be disappointed one bit. If you're coming from an iPhone 5, 5S, or 5C, I also say to upgrade when you are available. The bigger screen is such a big difference for the better, and the overall feel of it is much better than the 5 and 5S. If you're coming from Android, I say to make the switch now. You will already be used to the big screen, but the iOS software is a lot more user-friendly than Android is, in my opinion. Now, I would say to get the 6 Plus, since you are used to the bigger screen, that way you're not downsizing your screen with the 6. Now, should you get a 6 or a 6 Plus? I would highly recommend you go into the Apple Store or your local carrier store and play on both the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus before making a decision. The 6 Plus is huge, and I actually thought my iPhone 6 was the 6 Plus the first time I held it in store. I actually had to ask and make sure it was not a 6 Plus, and it wasn't. The added features may be worth it for the 6 Plus, but again, just go in and get a feel for both devices. If you're coming from Android, you shouldn't hesitate to purchase the bigger model. The iPhone 6 is the best iPhone yet, hands down. There are very minimal weaknesses on the iPhone 6, and to be honest, the weaknesses are nothing that would make me want to sell the phone. It's a must-have device, and it should be on everybody's Christmas list if you don't have it already. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, my name is Brandon from DailyiFix.com. Thanks for checking out this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, share the video with friends. Let them know that the iPhone 6 is no joke. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.